So this week's assignment is going to be about data types, essentially, which we covered, and about character data types and floating point data points, so data types, which are essentially data types that have precision behind them. Remember, we talked about coercion, which is one data type being converted to another data type in C. So for example, if a double value or a float value is assigned to a integer, then it will lose all the precision and only the integer portion of the value will actually remain. So without much ado, let's take a look at the assignment. Okay, so this time around your assignment is going to be about these data types. Okay, and in particular we are looking at character data type, double or float, which are essentially these two are data types with precision. Okay, so and the other thing that we talked about was how characters and integers are or I should say not character integers. Characters can actually be coerced to an integer data type, because that's how the computer actually stores the values, and each character has a corresponding integer ID. And when you take a character, like let's say for example the character A, it has a ID 97. So when you take A and you say int x is equal to single quote A, which is a character here, right? I mean x will now become 97, right? So using this we can do some fancy stuff. So first of all, a dead simple assignment, which is essentially do a extremely simple calculator. And what you do is you will type something like what operation. First it would print a line like saying, hey, welcome to my fancy calculator. And then you'll say, what operation do you want to perform? And then it will list out A for add, S for subtract, and then M for multiply, and D for divide. Okay, and the user will actually enter one of these characters as input. So after that, point a little arrow thingy, and the user will actually enter here. Let's say if I enter the value A and hit an enter here, then you will say please enter number 1, and let's say if I enter something like 3, then you say please enter number 2, please enter number 2, and you let's say at 16, then you're gonna print the sum of number 1 and number 2 is 19, right? So you're gonna do that. And what I want here is to make sure that you do use the for all your calculations, use the float or double data type, whichever one you want, so that the answer is always coming out as a decimal value. For example, especially when you are doing sorry, division, you will have precision. You do want precision so that your number does look somewhat reasonable. So that's one of the assignment. And also after every single operation, when the response has been printed, then you have to print another line saying want another operation, and yn as in yes or no, and the user will have to actually enter the character y for yes or an n for no, and depending on that the loop will actually exit out. So you will have to use the loop interrupt here. Okay, and now the other thing that I want you to try out or do is essentially like I want you to create a simple program, or you can do it as part of the same program. You say like, you know, I am going to capitalize everything you type. Essentially, like, you know, after that you just basically, the user will type A, you're going to type capital A. Okay, user types B, you type capital B, C, capital C, all the way to Z, and you type a capital Z. Okay, and how are you going to do this? You can, the one way of doing this is you do like 27 or 26 if else's, like, you know, if the entry is small case A, then do capital A, and so on and so forth. This one by the way has to be in a loop, so it will keep on going over and over and over. I want it to be infinite loop essentially. And what I really want you to do is essentially, small case A is 97. That's its numeric ID. And small case Z has a numeric ID of 122. Okay. On the other hand side, capital A has a numeric ID of 65, and capital Z has a numeric ID of 90. Okay. So you can essentially set up a translation over here. Like, you know, whenever a number is entered, let's say you get B, then B will be 98 over here, which is essentially, you know, 1 greater than, it is basically, B is 1 plus the character value of A, right? And over here, the same thing will hold. B will be 1 plus character value of capital A, right? So you see this portion is common, right? So all you need to understand is, like, you know, how much difference there is between the character and the first one, and then add that to the beginning of the capital alphabet over here on this side, and then essentially the translation will work just fine. So that's all there is to it, and good luck, and I'll see you there.